afternoon and welcome to the webinar. I can see people starting to roll into the attendee list right now, so we'll just give a few seconds for people to log in and get set up and get their volume set. Good to see everyone joining us today. Nice to have you, Cindy. Elaine, thanks for joining us. James, appreciate you being here. John, thanks for joining us as well. Roland, nice to see your name. Welcome aboard. Appreciate everybody taking some time out of their afternoon today to spend with us, learning about starting a medical billing business with American Business Systems. We will give just a minute or two more for people to continue joining us. Sometimes it takes a moment for everybody to get logged in. While we wait on everybody to get logged in and get their volume set, we can do a little bit of housekeeping. If you can't hear any audio, turn up your speakers. That would be, unmute your volume on your device. If you cannot make your audio work, sometimes Zoom can be finicky. So we would recommend dialing into the phone number. If you can refer back to the email you received with the Zoom link that you clicked into, it should have instructions to dial into a phone number and you can listen to the audio on your phone. Tanya, I see you just joined us. Thanks for coming into the presentation today. And we're going to give just a minute more for everyone to get into the room and get their volume set. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for the nice note. And yes, you can say hello in the chat. We do see those chats, and we always appreciate everybody saying hello. And if you have a question, certainly you can come in and type the question in, and we will get to questions as best we can throughout the presentation. Hi, Elaine. Thanks for using the chat tool. James, nice to see you as well. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. And it looks like we have got most people logged in and ready and waiting. And so let's get started. Well, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Jason Pettit. I am the VP of Business Development here at American Business Systems. I got into the business with ABS 15 years ago. My best friend, Adam Phillips, is the CEO of American Business Systems. And back in 2008, I was in the mortgage industry. And for those of you who paid attention in 2008 to what was going on in the mortgage industry, it didn't end up being the best place to be career-wise. We had a lot of trouble, and I was looking for any industry besides the mortgage industry. So I started talking with Adam, and he invited me to one of the training sessions. I got to meet some of the American Business Systems owners and meet the trainers and everything. And after spending a week looking at the opportunity, I said, you know what? Healthcare sounds pretty good compared to the mortgage industry. So I came aboard, and the rest is history. I've enjoyed 15 long years with American Business Systems. Speaking of American Business Systems, we have been around for a while. This year, we are celebrating our 29th anniversary as a company. We have an A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau, the BBB. And we also, for the last 2 years, have been awarded a Top 100 Game Changer through Franchise Dictionary Magazine. Franchise Dictionary Magazine is a sister company of one of our awesome partners. We're partnered with a company called FranServe, and they are the world's largest franchise consulting agency, and their consultants help people find franchises. So we've been a part of their organization and have worked with their consultants for over a decade. And for the last 2 years, we've gotten the recognition of being one of their top 100 game changers with Franchise Dictionary Magazine. So we've been doing this for a while. As I mentioned, we celebrated our 29th anniversary this year. So 3 decades in the industry. When we first started, it was a modest undertaking. We were a reseller for a box of software, and Patrick Phillips, our founder, had written a study course that people could learn how to do medical billing from home. And they sold those courses back in the 90s. And then since then, we have grown a much larger offering. Our owners are able to offer full revenue cycle management solutions. Our owners offer 10 different services. And you can see from the pile of boxes there, it covers just about every aspect of the types of things that private practice doctors need help with in their businesses. We, of course, medical billing is the top service, but we've got all kinds of ways that we can help doctors improve their cash flow. In case you missed it, we do have a downloadable ebook that you can access directly on our website. If you have not run across this ebook yet, I would recommend going to our main page. You can see the main American Business Systems website there. If you don't know the address, you can probably find a link to click in any of the emails we've sent you, but our URL is absystems.com. And right at the top right of the page, you can see the little magnifying glass there. If you click on the Download Our 5 Secrets to Success book, that 5 Secrets ebook will be automatically delivered to you. It's got a lot of great information. All you have to do is click the link, put in your name and your email address, and we will deliver that to you straight away. It looks like we've got most people logged in here. I just want to remind one more time, if you have any questions throughout the webinar presentation today, please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A panel. You can locate that in your Zoom controls. When you find the panel, just click on the little Q&A tab, and you should be able to type questions in, and we will answer those questions periodically throughout the webinar. At the end of the session today, we're actually going to have a few minutes dedicated to Q&A, so we may save some of the questions until the end. But without further ado, I would like to introduce the co-host for today. This is my best friend, Adam Phillips, the CEO of American Business Systems. Adam, thanks for joining us today, and welcome to the webinar.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me. Looking forward to sharing the information that we've got for everybody today on the webinar. So let me talk a little bit about this book. There's a picture of this 9 ways doctors let money slip through their fingers book. This is one of several different really key marketing tools that as American Business Systems we put together for the people that go through our program. And it's really cool because it does a lot of things. It educates doctors on ways that they can avoid making some very common money mistakes that they make. It also educates doctors on revenue cycle and how to do things to improve their revenue cycle. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And of course, the other thing that it does is it builds your credibility as a licensee or business owner of American Business Systems. So this book just recently came out, and there's several more items that we're going to be talking about as well. So yeah, that's the newest marketing tool, I should say, that just came out. This is a picture of my parents. For those of you that don't know, this is a family business. Like Jason mentioned, Jason and I go way back. We grew up together. So we have lots of fond memories of all kinds of different things growing up. But way back in 1994, my parents founded this company, and they actually started doing billing from their home in the 80s prior to starting this company. And so we've been in this business for a long time. I mean, I actually remember my mother using a typewriter to fill out claim forms, believe it or not. Yeah, a typewriter. So we've been in this industry for a long time. And what we're really good at is marketing to doctors. We've made all of the mistakes that there are to make when it comes to marketing to doctors, and we can help all of you avoid those mistakes. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is what really works when it comes to trying to get doctors interested in working with you, because that's what everyone says on the phone that we talk to. They're like, well, how on earth am I going to get a doctor to want to work with me, little old me? So we're going to go into that today.
Yes, a very common question. This is all great, but how do I get clients? One of the most common questions, and of course, one of the biggest concerns with starting any business. If you can't generate revenue, maybe you're not starting the right kind of business. So we're going to teach you all about how to do that today. So since we've made all the introductions and you've gotten to know American Business Systems a little bit, we're going to go ahead and dive into our topic for today, talking about marketing methods that we teach our American Business Systems owners. And the first thing that we want to focus on is when you ask, how do I get clients? The first thing that's important is understanding who your target market is. Mm-hmm. We get questions often, can you do dental billing? Yes, we can. Can you do pharmacy billing? Yes, we can. Can you do laboratory billing, behavioral health centers, clinics, et cetera, et cetera? Yes, we can do billing in any environment. However, not every one of those client types could potentially be the right type of client for our owners. What I mean by that is there are some client types where you might put more effort in, but for less income for your business. So we like to work smarter, not harder, and we like our owners to get paid. So this specialty medicine list that you see on your screen, these are some of the top specialties that our owners have the most success with. Now, there's two parts of this. One part is our owners make more money providing the billing service to these clients. And we're all here to make money, right? Of course. But the other side of this is the doctors also tend to make more money using the services of our owners. The average improvement to revenue that a doctor has with our owner services is 20 to 30%. Well, if you're increasing a doctor's revenue 20%, a doctor making $100,000 a month in average revenue increases their revenue $20,000. A doctor making $50,000 a month in revenue increases their revenue 20%. That's $10,000. So would you rather help a doctor increase their revenue $20K a month or $10K a month? The doctor's going to probably be a little more excited about the $20,000 a month. So we direct our owners to market towards specialty medicine physicians for that reason. Adam, anything to add on the specialty medicine point?
Well, I think the other point to point out is with this model, it's not a traditional franchise model where there are restricted areas where you can market. So, not only can you market to any of these specialties that you see here, basically any company that's filing a medical claim form is a potential client. But any of those anywhere in the United States, there are no restrictions whatsoever. So you really do have a very, very big market with this business.
Absolutely. That's a good point to mention. And first of all, you identify the types of doctors, and then you need to identify the types of solutions that are going to be best for that particular doctor. Every business owner has room for improvement. I don't care how well the business is run. There's always a room for improvement, whether it's doctors running their practices or any business owner. And doctors especially struggle with all the regulations and compliancy, and of course, filing insurance claims with the insurance companies. I just read an article yesterday that said that one of the largest payers, I think it was United Healthcare, I have to go back and look at the article. They had written a software tool that purposefully denied claims that shouldn't have been denied, and they got in a lot of trouble for that. It was billions of dollars over the years of denied claims. So doctors certainly struggle with the insurance companies not paying out what they should be paying out for these insurance claims. So part of what our owners do is they find the pain points in these doctors' offices and solves the pain points. And that can be a lot of different areas. It can be rejected claims. We can help reduce the rejected claims. Our system runs nationwide at less than a 2% rejection rate. It could even be efficiency gains in the doctor's processes, helping them reduce duplicate efforts and, things that people are doing manually that could be automated. There's all kinds of ways that we can help the physicians. And remember, ABS owners are able to offer 10 different services to the doctors. So we find their pain point, we deliver a proposal that shows what the doctor's revenue increase is going to be, and also identifies the different areas of their practice we can help make more efficient.
Yeah, did you mention that we have the revenue report, the actual analysis tool that they do? Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, so we have an actual analysis tool that we teach you how to utilize to help you find that pain. And it's really great because, you know, a lot of times doctors aren't really sure where their pain is. And sometimes they're not even aware of certain cash flow issues, or they're not aware of, you know, how much money they're spending to collect their money, you know, with paying staff and software and hardware costs and all this other stuff. So we have this analysis tool that helps you find that pain, and then we help you put together a proposal that's going to solve that pain. So it's a whole clear set of steps that we've laid out for you with this.
And it's a very clear differentiation between how most medical billing companies market themselves. Most billing companies are not going into doctors' offices and saying, hey, we'll put an extra 20 to 30% of revenue each month in your pocket. And we're also going to fix your top 3 problems in your practice workflows. Most billing companies are coming in and saying, hey, what are you paying for your billing? 6%, we'll do it for 5%. Okay,
Yep.
you save 1%, but that's not very motivating to most doctors.
Right.
So the next question becomes, okay, so you've identified your target market, you know what types of specialty medicine you're going to be aiming for. You know that we are going to do a needs analysis for those physicians and identify the areas of their revenue we can make improvements and the area of their workflows we can make improvements. But none of that really answers the question, well, how do you find these clients in the first place? How do you connect with them? How do you make that very first touch point between I have 0 clients and 0 connections to now I'm talking with the doctor or office manager and going through the needs analysis and proposal process? Well, we have a lot of different ways to help you do that. And we're going to get into the bulk of our presentation today, talking about all the different strategies we have for connecting with potential clients. Adam, I'll let you talk about this very first method because it's one that most people already have their feet into.
Yeah, that's right. We call it warm market. It's pretty easy to understand. It's people that you already know who might know doctors. We actually go into a lot of detail in our training on how to really brainstorm and think about your current network. You know, a lot of people don't realize how many people that they actually know. When you start thinking about, you know, I think they say that the average person is friends with like 250 people or something like that. I forget what the number is, but if you really start digging down, you start to think of, oh, well, you know, I have a pretty good relationship with my grocer, and I know that doctors shop at that grocery store all the time, you know, so there's a lot of people that you can realize that might know doctors that can make an introduction for you that you may not have realized before. So that's our number one method, I would say, is tapping into your existing warm market. And we also are going to talk about how to build your networking market as well. But warm market is by far the number one source for us so far.
This reminds me of a story. An ABS owner that I worked with and ultimately made the investment with American Business Systems. She had HR experience. She was a director of HR at a very large hospital. But she didn't know any doctors. You know, being in HR, she didn't have any connections with physicians. You know, she knew all the people in the corporate hospital, but she didn't have any private practice doctors that she knew. And she was very concerned that she didn't have a warm market to plug into. Well, the story goes, she was at her hairstylist getting her hair done. And, you know, if you know any good stylists, a lot of times they'll call it, instead of therapy, they'll call it hairapy, because you talk with your stylist and you kind of talk about what's going on in your life. And her hairstylist said, well, hey, her name was Deb. She said, Deb, what are you doing lately? And she said, well, actually, I just started a business. I'm helping doctors improve their revenue, and specifically, I help with their claims filing. And she said, oh, you don't say. She said, my brother's a doctor, and he's part of a pretty large group, and I'd be happy to make an introduction. So, of course, she took the introduction, and the hairdresser's brother actually ended up being a part of a very large podiatry group, and she picked that client up, and that client was a 6-figure annual income client for her, from her hairdresser. So you say, oh, I don't have a warm market. I don't know anybody. I don't know doctors. I guarantee you everybody on this webinar today is connected to somebody who's connected to a doctor that very well could become the first client. That's how things work. So that's the warm market presentation. Another thing that people often talk about is credibility. A lot of times as humans, we want to feel like we know what we're talking about, and we want to feel credible when we're offering services like this. And one of the things that we have to help increase the credibility of our owners and help give them more confidence when they're presenting themselves to potential clients or referral partners is our owners actually get a certification going through our training system. Our owners have CMRM certification, that's Certified Medical Revenue Manager, and only our ABS owners have the CMRM designation. And Adam, I'll let you talk a little bit about what that certification means, and then also the MIRMA.org that underwrites this program.
Yeah, sure. So when you finish our program, which by the way, it's done online now with one of our instructors live, but you can do it from home or wherever you are. It's 10 90-minute training modules. So that can take you a couple of weeks to get through all those modules. And then when you get done with that, this is when you get this certification that you see here. Your name is printed on this certificate, and you become a CMRM. What is a Certified Medical Revenue Manager? Well, what we're doing is we are certifying you to have the knowledge and ability to start and manage and run and maintain your own independent medical billing and revenue cycle management company, which is kind of a mouthful. But we give you all the tools and training necessary for you to grow your business however you see fit. And I say it that way because there are a lot of people who they just want to supplement some other income, and they keep it small and home-based and maybe do it part-time. That does work for some people. There are other people that we have, some owners that have grown this to massive proportions with hundreds of clients and dozens of data entry people and the whole 9 yards, office space, everything. So it can be as much as you want it to be with this. And that's what this certification allows you to do. And also what we do is we actually certify it through an organization that I created called the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. So when it comes to credibility, you'll be putting the CMRM at the end of your name on all your marketing materials. And if a doctor sees that, they may want to, Google that designation and see what it is. And it always points back to this particular training organization so that the doctors can see that you finished some type of training and completed an educational course on revenue cycle and medical billing. So that's what we've done for you, and that's a huge credibility builder. It's been working really well for folks. Yeah.
Everybody likes to have a few initials after their name.
Yep, they sure do.
In my experience.
Yep.
So we mentioned this, we touched on this briefly before. Why would doctors and office managers choose to even speak with you? Why would they entertain taking advantage of your services? And we mentioned this before, but this really is the shining star of what our owners can offer these doctors. All kinds of different features and benefits, but ultimately the reason that doctors do business with our owners comes down to money, which is probably the same reason a lot of you are on this webinar today. If you couldn't make money investing and growing a business like this, why would you be on this webinar? It's probably not because you're just so passionate about filing medical claims. We're all here to make money. And so most doctors improve their revenue 20 to 30%. And I gave the illustration before, a doctor with $100,000 of monthly revenue, they're going to improve their revenue in the range of $20,000 a month. A doctor with $50,000 a month of revenue, which would be around average, maybe slightly above average, they're going to improve their revenue around $10,000 a month. So when you're putting that kind of money into a doctor's net profit each and every month, and you're also helping them reduce the different inefficiencies in their office, that is one more reason why doctors choose to do business with our owners. Another thing is our software, our services. Our owners are full revenue cycle management companies. So you can help the doctors with just about every aspect of their practice. Adam, I'll let you talk a little bit about all the different things that are included.
Okay, so I think we mentioned at the beginning, this is much more than just billing. I mean, helping doctors with their insurance claims is a big part of what our owners do, and it's a big need that doctors have, but they have a lot of other needs as well. So when you become an ABS business owner, you have access to, it's about a dozen services now. I mean, it's a lot of different tools and things that you can provide. And, we have a research guide that we can send you a link to that kind of goes into a lot of detail on how all these services work. Basically we've got everything from collection services, Medicare audit protection, a HIPAA compliancy service. We just launched a service that we call virtual care, which is remote patient monitoring, people that are not able to leave their homes but need to be monitored by nurses and doctors. We have a coding service. We have a patient payment plan service called Choice Pay, where they can pay their bill online and in small monthly amounts, installments. And we also have some marketing tools. We have one called AutoCard, where doctors can use this for their practice to send out birthday cards and reminder cards to patients. But that's also a service that you can use for your own medical billing company. You can, if you talk with a doctor, you have a good conversation with them, and maybe they're not ready to make a decision right away, you can put them on this auto drip campaign that we have, where they'll get a series of postcards and things from you. So you'll stay top of mind for whenever they're finally ready to make a decision. So a lot of different ways to make money. And all of these, of course, are, revenue streams for you. You can make money on every single one of these. But the cool thing is the only service where you're doing the work is the medical billing service. And all these other services that we have, the work is actually performed by us or one of our technology partners. You're just marking it up and making money on it. So it's pretty cool.
A lot of ways to make a dime. I want to circle back to the technology, because American Business Systems, one of our superpowers is developing partnerships with the best-in-class health information technology companies and healthcare services companies. And behind all of these services that you see here on the screen, we have one or sometimes two fantastic partners that we've developed in the 3 decades of being leaders in this industry. So not only do you get access to all of American Business Systems training and support and all the resources that go along with that, you also get the benefit of our partners and their decades of training and support and resources, not to mention their fantastic technology and services. And I want to specifically mention our premier partner is a company called NextGen, and that powers our iClaim system. And our system has best clearinghouse in the business. Our clearinghouse has less than a 2% rejection rate. It's the lowest in the industry. We've got a fantastic electronic health records charting system. It's browser-based. It's fully integrated with the practice management and billing system. And if you have not seen iClaim in action, I would strongly recommend reach out to your ABS business development rep, whoever invited you to this webinar. If you don't know who your ABS rep is, just reply to the email you got and say, hey, who's my rep? And we'll have somebody reach out to you. But I guarantee you, if you see a demo of our iClaim platform, you're going to understand one of the reasons that over half of the doctors that do a demo of our system move forward with an implementation. It's an absolutely world-class system. And so you have access to that system, of course, and all of the different partnerships that we've developed. And that's a really critical part of our business model. The last thing in the credibility department, we touched on this before in Adam's intro. Adam's written the 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers book. We actually have several books that our owners are able to use in their marketing to doctors and office managers. People like to have acronyms at the end of their name, the DR and the MBA and, the alphabet soup. It makes us all feel nice and important. But I'll tell you, people really like to have their name on the cover of a book. And You can see Dr. Rackner is on several of these books, all of the books actually, and Patrick Phillips, the founder of American Business Systems, and Adam as well. Your name actually will be on the foreword of these books as an American Business Systems owner. So we have the ability to print a foreword to the book, print your name on the cover, and in your marketing efforts, you can hand a book to a doctor or an office manager with your name on the cover. And that does build credibility very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been it's been huge. The one in the middle specifically is the one that most people customize with their name on the front as the author of the foreword. But it's funny how many times doctors have thought that the licensee wrote the book. We had a success story, lady in California, one of our licensees. She handed, when this book first was released, she had her name printed on the front, and she handed this to 3 potential doctor clients that she came in contact with. And she ended up signing up all 3 of them. And one of them said, "Jen, that book that you wrote was just incredible. It gave me so much information." She said, no, I didn't write it. Vicki Rackner wrote it. But so Vicki Rackner, actually, for those of you that don't know, we partnered up with her. She's a retired surgeon who now travels all over the world teaching people how to market to doctors. But she was a big proponent of outsourcing her own billing when she had a medical practice. And so we've partnered up with her, and she's been a wealth of knowledge for us to help us write some of these books and get information into doctors' hands that's really helpful to them.
I'm not sure that everyone would be quite so quick to correct a physician if they said, "Oh, that book you wrote is great." I think a lot of people would just say, "Oh, thank you so much."
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right.
We won't judge anybody if that's what you do. I want to remind everyone, all of you attending today's webinar, if you have questions, please go to the Q&A tab on your Zoom control panel. And when you click that Q&A tab, you can start to write questions right in there, and we will answer those questions as we go through. So far, we only have one question in there, and it is from Venkat. And the question is, does American Business Systems support dental practice management? Absolutely, we do, Venkat. We have a dental billing and practice management system. It's an awesome system. We have a wonderful partner through Dentamax, and our owners get access to that dental billing and practice management system as well.
We just had another one come in from Roland. Roland is asking, can you describe what a private practice is? Is it simply one or a few doctors with their own independent office in a building somewhere?
Private practices. So the easiest way to define what a private practice is it would be any type of physician that does not work directly for a hospital or clinic. They're not on a hospital or clinic's payroll. So examples of private practices would be general medicine, like general practitioners, family medicine doctors. Those are probably some of the more common. But then you have specialty medicine private practices like cardiology, podiatry, pain management. It doesn't necessarily mean, Roland, that they would have an independent office or building. Sometimes private practice doctors can kind of pool their resources, and you can have several private practice doctors share office staff and share an office space. So it doesn't necessarily mean they have their own building, but it would be doctors that are not on a hospital's payroll. That would be the easiest way. Group practices can still be private practices. In fact, loads of them are. And group practices, we are very, very strong in marketing to group practices. Cardiology groups, that's our top specialty medicine type. If you get a cardiology group as a client, those are extremely profitable clients. Same thing with podiatry groups, pain management groups, physical therapy. So that's a kind of a rundown of the different types of private practice management. Adam, anything to add to that on private practices?
Nope, you covered it.
All right, so no more questions in the questions panel. For those of you still with us, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to throw that question in the Q&A panel. We will have another Q&A section toward the end of the session here. So let's go back to Okay, great. You've got these great services. You help build credibility. You know, our owners have the books and the CMRM certification and all these great services. And we help doctors increase revenue and all this kind of stuff. But let's go back to the original purpose of this webinar. How do you connect with doctors and office managers to start the process of showing them what you can do for them? So the next thing we're going to talk about is trade shows and expos. This is a great way to get the doctors and office managers to come to you. And Adam, I'll let you talk a little bit about how we help our owners explore this type of marketing.
Yeah, so this actually kind of went by the wayside, during COVID. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of trade shows going on, but there has been a resurgence, I think we should say. And there are starting to be a lot more events happening all over the country. And in our training, we actually teach you how to put together different materials and presentations and how to create, displays and different things like that. And we get very specific on how to entice people to stop by, when they walk past you, at one of these events. But there's also a lot of resources to go online to find where these events are happening. And sometimes they are specifically healthcare related, certain specialties, have lots of get-togethers and expos and different things like that. So we can show you how to really fine tune and target different events that you can go to. And there's lots of really great ways to collect leads, collect information from people that you meet at these events. So that's been a really big one too. And then of course, the key is proper follow-up after the event. And that's another thing that we train you on how to do. A lot of people kind of falter when it comes to the follow-up of all the people that you meet at these events. And I'm going to go back to, the other slide where I mentioned drip marketing. There's a lot of different tools that we have that you can put these people that you meet into these drip marketing campaigns where they get a little touch every once in a while, just an email every once in a while, or maybe even something in the mail, something physical to remind them of who you are, the conversations that you had, and the offerings that you have available. So that's been a pretty good one. Yeah.
Trade shows can be a good way to connect with loads of doctors at the same time, office managers. Another way to do this is through lunch and learns. And then the marketing method we're going to talk about after this is very similar to lunch and learns. So the old adage, the quickest way to a man's heart is through their stomach. You bring food in and people will tend to give you a few minutes of their time. We've had some owners use this strategy very, very effectively. It's basically, it can be marketed as, we'll bring in lunch at no cost. You pick your favorite place to eat and we'll have it delivered, and then give us 15, 20 minutes of your time to do a quick presentation on how our services might be able to assist your practice. And these can be very effective. There's another version of this that is educational events that's very similar. These kind of go hand in hand. In fact, basically one has food and the other doesn't really. But the educational events, doctors and nurse practitioners and physician assistants, they're required to update their credentials all the time through continuing education. It's not like you become a doctor and that's the last time you ever have to learn anything. They're required to maintain their credentials. And so one of the things that we can do is our owners can help the doctors and office managers structure these educational events, and we can teach continuing education sessions so that they can get credit against those programs that they have to stay credentialed with. It's a great way to pick different topics that are industry specific. There's always new stuff coming down, government regulations, compliancy issues, technology changes, and the doctors need to know about this kind of stuff. And our owners can be the experts and come in and deliver this information. And of course, on our support website, we have the presentation tools and everything that our owners need to effectively give these presentations.
Yeah. And, if you're sitting here on this webinar thinking that's something I could never do, we have had owners that have partnered up with other professionals and hired people to come in and do, an educational event for them. You just pay them for their time and they can do the presentation and you just follow up with people at the end. So there's ways to get it done.
Absolutely. Another way to connect with potential clients is, this is a little sneaky. This is a little sneaky trick. But if you look at job postings that private practices will have looking for medical coders or medical billers, well, if they're making a job posting, they probably have some issues with their revenue cycle management. And if you can get in there quick enough and follow our process, you might be able to do a whole lot better than them hiring a medical biller or a medical coder, to help them with their processes. This could even be things like if they're advertising for somebody to help with their bookkeeping, or help with like a compliancy offer, or even marketing. If a doctor is advertising for someone to help them with their marketing, that could indicate that the practice needs to generate more revenue. So they want to try to drive more patient appointments. And we have a system for that as well. So part of our training is we will teach you how to find these types of listings and how to best respond to them, because you do have to be a little delicate. They're not advertising to be solicited to. So you do need to be delicate how you respond to these, but that's part of the training as well.
Yes, and I would like to point out on this slide, there is a huge issue with healthcare staffing shortages right now. So if you did search for some job openings, you're going to find a ton of them. And that's good news for everyone on this webinar, because doctors more and more are realizing, it's really hard to find good help these days. And so they're looking to hire people for billing and coding and whatever. And a lot of times they're starting to realize, I can get an expert outside of the office focused on my billing, and I don't have to worry about hiring and paying and training and managing somebody. And so it just makes a lot of sense for a lot of doctors to have someone outside the office doing the work. So it's just
Absolutely.
Much more opportunity right now with the staffing shortages that are going on.
It's a lot more cost effective, that's for sure, than trying to hire somebody and then finding out 3 or 4 months later that they just bounced to the next position. Any of you currently involved with the job market, it's a topsy-turvy sea out there right now if you're out there surfing the waves.
Yeah, that actually goes along with the question David just asked. David is asking, don't most doctors have billing built into their practice software such as Athena? So yeah, the answer is yes. They have a lot of systems that do billing now, and a lot of practices are trying to manage their billing in their offices with staff and software and everything. But what they don't realize is it almost always costs them more time and more money to manage everything in-house versus having someone outside the office do the work. I mean, you think about it, you can have a doctor that's paying you like, roughly 25 grand a year to do the work versus, he'd have to pay somebody a minimum of 30, 35 plus, for an in-house certified biller. So right out of the gate, he's saving money on top of the fact that we're going to be reducing their denials and, doing all the stuff that we do to get that 20 to 30% revenue increase that Jason mentioned. So thanks for the question, David.
Yeah, let me pile on to this one just a little bit, David. Athena Health, of course, they're one of the larger, billing and practice management and EHR systems that are out there. There's several, Carios, another one where, these, very large technology companies are in the space and heavily marketing towards doctors. Specific to Athena Health, we kick them to the curb all the time. When we go head to head with Athena Health, I mean, with most of these larger Cario and eClinical and some of these larger systems, when we go head to head with them and we give a demo, over half of the doctors move forward with our system, and we displace Athena Health and these others all the time. One of the things about Athena Health in particular, and our support team helps our ABS owners when they're going head to head with a competitor like that, is Athena Health has a pretty decent software program. Their technology is pretty good. However, what they do is Athena Health tries to get tries to get the doctors to adopt the system, and then they come around and upsell the doctor on using Athena Health's billing service. So they actually offer to file the medical claims for the doctor after the doctor agrees to use their software platform. The problem is they have all overseas billing operations. And what we see when we go into these competitive environments and we're doing proposals and the doctor has Athena Health and they're using Athena Health billers is they hate the billing side of Athena Health. They get poor results. A lot of times it's very difficult to get in touch. They're overseas, so they have different hours and things like that. So specific to Athena Health, we tear them apart all the time, just to, put a finer point on that. We got a couple more of these strategies to talk about. Direct marketing. Now, direct marketing is one that you really have to do this properly. What a lot of people think about when they think about direct marketing, if you got the doctor and the receptionist there at the desk, and then, you're going to walk in and say, hey, my name's Jason. Can I help with your medical billing? And the doctor's going to say, you can help yourself to the door, right? So direct marketing, you really have to position this properly. So we do teach you how to do this the right way. And one of the more common strategies we have is a drop off and follow up technique. So instead of trying to talk with someone when you randomly walk in the door of a practice, you simply drop off a marketing piece with your contact information, and you get the card, the business card of the office manager, and you follow up with the office manager directly about a week later. And that's a pretty effective tool. Direct marketing isn't for everyone, but for some people that have a background and, a personality for it, you can just, walk directly into doctor's offices and do this. We do caution you, though, if that's not your personality or background, we are not going to have you out there direct marketing and walking into doctor's offices.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a few questions here piled up that we're going to get to. We have two more marketing strategies to talk about, and we're going to be knocking on the door of 10 till the hour here in just a few minutes. So if you have questions, please do go ahead and put them in the Q&A panel, and we will get to those questions in just a few minutes. We've got 3 questions sitting there waiting for us, but we're going to do these last 2 marketing strategies so we can cover all of the topic today. So one of the most popular and quickly successful strategies that our owners use year in and year out in the 3 decades that we've been in the industry is using business networking groups to broaden their reach and get connected with doctors. This is an awesome way to, we talked about the warm market, and that would be your sphere of influence that's very small. It's your friends, your family members, and people that you personally have done business with and worked with. And for some people, that is a very small sphere of influence. If you want to broaden your reach, these business networking groups are a great way to do this. It's kind of interesting. One of my neighbors is a chairman at one of the local chamber of commerce, and he had a networking event that was at, we're here in Dallas, it was at the Dallas Stars hockey game, and a bunch of the chamber of commerce members have a luxury box at the Dallas Stars, at American Airlines Center to watch the hockey games. And he had an extra ticket, so he invited me to go along, and it was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. It was 3 of the chairman of the board, and then some other, vendors that were a part of the Chamber of Commerce as well. And it was the first time that I'd been to something like that, where that many chamber people were kind of there at the same time. And it was so interesting. You start to realize how much business takes place in these relationships that are built through the chamber or through BNI or LATIP. You can see these other networking groups. It is unbelievable how much business happens after you develop relationships with other local business owners. So that's what our owners do as well. Join the chamber, join BNI, LATIP, there's Young Entrepreneurs, there's meetup.com, meet other professionals and other business owners who have physicians as their clients and can make those introductions. Well, why in the world would anybody want to introduce little old me to their doctor client? How would anyone ever trust me? Well, if you can put 20 to 30% extra income in that doctor's pocket, you better believe a CPA or business lender or anyone with a client, a doctor client, they want to help their clients make more money too. Their clients make more money. They make more money. You make more money. We all make more money. Anything you want to add to business networking, Adam?
No, that was a pretty good overview there. I mean, but we don't teach you to just, hey, go join those and good luck. I mean, we actually go into a lot of detail on, the fact that you need to pick the right chapter, like BNI, for example, they have, I guarantee you, they have several chapters all around where you live. They're all over the United States. And then we get very specific on what to say when you go to those events and when it's your turn to stand up and give your elevator pitch or whatever they call it. So this is something that we really help you cultivate, and it's a big part of, if you look at our YouTube channel, 90% of the owners will say, yeah, I got my first client through one of these networking events that I went to. So
yep,
it's a big deal.
We've got the questions piling up here, so we're going into our last marketing strategy. Now we saved the best for last, in my opinion, because I believe that the best way to connect with private practice doctors that need these kinds of revenue cycle management services is through medical sales reps. Now, working with medical sales reps to get introduced to doctors is not for everyone. That's why we have 10 different services. Your personality type might not work well with working with medical sales reps. If you know any medical sales reps, sometimes they can have big personalities. They can be challenging to work with. But a lot of our owners have had incredible success partnering with local medical sales reps on a full commission basis to get introduced to the physicians and office managers that they already work with. This is a pretty simple, basic operation here. So we'll show you how to find local medical sales reps. We'll teach you how to work with them to get introduced to the doctors. And basically what those sales reps are doing is they're helping you make that first appointment with the office manager to do the needs analysis that we talked about earlier. The first step with any client is a needs analysis. You get to know your client so that you can give a proposal that shows how much revenue increase the doctor is going to get and what pain points you're going to be able to solve for that doctor. So we teach you how to do this in your training. By the way, we have a 30-day 100% money back guarantee tied to our live training. You say, oh, Jason, Adam, I don't know, sounds like a good deal, but I don't know if I can trust that I'll be successful with this business. Well, make the investment, go through the training. If you finish the training and you decide that this is not a good fit, we'll give you 100% of your investment back. There's no franchise in the world that offers that. So medical sales reps, great way to quickly grow the business. And I want to add one quick anecdote to this. So a friend of mine, I got to know him through American Business Systems, but he started his business with us a few years ago. And he's based in Austin. And he started working with the sales rep, that the sales rep was actually based here in Dallas. So quick point. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where the sales rep is, it doesn't matter where we are. You can grow your business anywhere. We have no territorial restrictions whatsoever. But anyway, my buddy down in Austin was working with this Dallas sales rep, and the sales rep introduced him to a 17-doctor hormone therapy clinic. It was actually 5 clinics that were here in the DFW Metroplex. And he got the introduction, he got the account. And without going into a ton of detail, he was making over $250,000 a year profit from that one account. So one sales rep, one introduction, he was making over $250,000 a year profit. That's after he paid his billers that he had working on that account. So sales reps, can't emphasize it enough. It's a wonderful way to very quickly grow your business. Adam, anything to add on sales reps?
Just the fact that we have, ultimately this is your business, and, you're going to need to make the decision on what type of person is going to be a good fit, for your company. But we, on our private support site, when you become a licensee, you get a login to our private support website that we have. We have all the training that you would ever need to hire and train sales reps as well as data entry people. So don't worry about, struggling on that part. Like, we can give you all of the, the slide decks and presentations and, training videos, get them up to speed on all the services, how much, what the fees are, everything. So all that's covered, and you can get someone up to speed very quickly.
Absolutely. The training is fantastic, and we hope to see all of you in training soon. So now we're going to go into our Q&A section. We've got about 5 minutes until the top of the hour. We've got several questions in here. If you do have questions, as we've said, go into the Q&A panel, type your question in, and we're going to try to get to all the questions right now. So Adam, I'll take the very first one from James about average return on investment. James, the return on investment, that's not 100% sure what you would want on that term. What a lot of people mean when they say return on investment is how quickly can I break even on the investment? So break even if you have a one client scenario. So you invest $28,990, you need to recoup that $29,000. And if you just get one single client, at a minimum, that client should produce $25,000 to $35,000 a year in income for you. And that would be a smaller client. So your break even on your $29,000 investment with a single client should be in about 12 months or less. And most of our owners get their first client within about 60 to 90 days. So the break even is really quick. Now, as far as overall return on investment, if you want to talk like historical, what have people done with a business like this? We have owners that are delighted with the results of their business, and they have 3 or 4 clients and make 100 to 150K a year, and they manage their business from anywhere, and they're happy as a clam. Perfectly fine. If your goal is to file the claims yourself and have a super flexible home-based business making 6 figures with a handful of clients, you found us. That's what we do all day, every day, and that's most of our owners. But if you want to talk scalability to the heavens on what you can do with a business like this, top producer of all time is 2 partners. They grew their business to over 400 clients. They have a team of like 50 billers. Second place is a little bit less than 300 clients. And of course, they have a team of billers as well. And we have dozens of owners with over 100 clients. And you can do the math there. Each client's going to be worth a minimum of $25,000 to $35,000 a year. So these are multi-million-dollar businesses. So it gives you an idea of kind of the range of what you could expect for a business like this.
Excellent. VinCat was asking, is it possible to get a recording of this session? Yes, we will always record these and post them up on our website. So stay tuned for that. You can get a link if you email your ABS rep, we can send that to you. Now, help me out with the question from Tanya here. Tanya's saying, would you recommend independent reps recruiting their own business and paying to use the ABS system underneath my business and charge the reps a monthly service fee to use the portal? I'm thinking long-term here.
Yeah, Tanya, I had read that question earlier as well, and I don't exactly understand what you're asking there. So
it sounds complicated, but Tanya,
yeah.
what our best practices is you hire independent sales reps who are, just working on for you, typically on a commission only basis. And we can help you figure out how to, we have all the sample commission structures and contracts that you can use to sign up independent reps. And typically, you would present them with what happens whenever you sign up a new client is you're typically going to be charging the doctor a setup fee, which we can help you figure out what that needs to be, but it can be anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 to $10,000. I mean, based on what the doctors need. And so you give the sales rep a portion of that setup fee. And also, you would offer them, what we recommend is you would offer them a small percentage of that 6% or whatever that you're charging for doing the billing work. And you can also structure your contract with the rep to just say, hey, this will extend out for, a year, or it will extend out as long as you're bringing me new contracts. We'll pay you this, forever. There's a lot of different ways to set it up, but that's what we would recommend. So I don't know if that made sense, but
Close enough. I just said, Tanya, circle back. Let's set a call together and we'll get to the bottom of that question and see if.
She said it does answer her question.
Oh, it
She
does
said yes.
answer her question. Okay, great. Perfect.
All right. Cool.
So let's see. Shirley's asking if we help with the business plan. Yes, shoot one of us an email. We'll send you back a business plan. Absolutely. Let's see.
Yeah, Roland is asking a good one. Thanks for answering my private practice question. There's data that suggests that the number of private practices is shrinking more and more as doctors become employed by large hospitals. Do you see that as well or not? So Roland, we actually saw that trend start several years ago. And so you're right. There were a lot of doctors that were selling and going to work for hospitals, but we are actually seeing a trend in the other direction right now. There are a lot of hospitals that have gone back and looked at their books and said, you know what, that hasn't really improved our revenues like we thought. And the other thing is doctors are really starting to feel like, they're just another employee. They have their hours and wages dictated to them, and they do not like that at all. So we're actually seeing a trend where there's doctors that have gotten together and formed a large independent group and are leaving hospitals, but forming their own private groups so that they can still get better, reimbursements from insurance companies. But those groups do look for outsourced billing in a lot of cases. So we have owners that have signed up, very large practices. I would say that's maybe less common is signing up, 50, 60 doctors in a practice is probably less common, but it does happen. So yeah, I don't know if you have any extra thoughts on that, Jason, but we're kind of seeing it go both ways right now.
Yeah, I mean, so of course it's happening, right? There's physicians that get swallowed up by hospitals, but there's also physicians starting private practices. It's kind of like, I like to describe it as, if you think about the job market, you could say, everybody is quitting their jobs and starting their own businesses. And so, the labor pool is evaporating to zero. Well, that's preposterous. Yes, people are starting their own businesses, but you also have people who are going into the labor force as well. So the door swings both ways. Same thing for physician groups and doctors starting private practices. You have doctors coming out of their residency, starting private practices. You have doctors who are on hospital payrolls that are quitting the hospital payroll and going back to private practice. So the door swings both ways. It has not been prohibitive in any market in 29 years of ABS doing business. And I'll tell you, I've been with ABS for 15 years. Since day one on the phones, this question has been a question. What about doctors getting swallowed up by physician groups? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's happening, but it's not happening at any level that affects the ability of our owners to get clients.
And you also can make six figures with just a handful of clients. So it can be very lucrative with just a small number of clients as well.
Yeah, one of the more common areas of the US where, physicians are part of hospital groups is in California. It's much more common than other states in California. And some of our most successful owners of all time have huge client bases in California. So it's a good question. It is in the news, but it's just not something that has affected our owners' ability to do business at all.
Yep.
I think we're a few minutes past the hour here. Adam, I'll take that last question if you want me to, from Avi.
Yeah, feel free.
So Avi's asking, we're recommending that people invest with American Business Systems, but why don't we hire more employees and run the business under one name? So I think, Avi, if I'm understanding your question correctly, why doesn't American Business Systems get into the medical billing business ourselves? The way that American Business Systems is monetized is pretty genius, to be frank. So of course we make a little bit of money when people invest in American Business Systems. When you invest the $28,990, there's profitability in that for us. But most of our revenue comes through our partnerships that we've developed. We mentioned NextGen today. They're one of our top partners. Every time a doctor chooses to use the iClaim platform in their office, they pay NextGen a $254 monthly subscription. And so we have doctors all over the US who are paying those subscriptions, and that's how ABS is monetized. We get a small percentage of that subscription from all the doctors that are on the platform. So yes, we could go into billing ourselves, but that wasn't the goal of this company. When Patrick and Linda Phillips made the decision to sell all of their durable medical equipment clients back in the late 80s, early 90s, and help people start businesses like this, the goal of American Business Systems was to get out of billing and instead help people launch successful businesses like this. And we've been able to not only help hundreds of people start businesses like this, but also be incredibly profitable through the partnerships that we've developed over 3 decades. So it's an economy of scale. We have built a system where American Business Systems is enormously profitable because of the success of our owners and because of the partnerships that we've developed. And when you become an American Business Systems owner, you get to step into the benefits of those partnerships as well.
Excellent. We're 6 minutes past.
Yeah, we should probably pull the plug and move on. This has been a great one. Lots of great questions coming through. David, I can see you've got a question in here. We've just simply run out of time. If you want to get with your rep, we'd be happy to schedule a call with you. And if you can't find your rep, just respond to any of the emails and we'll figure out who your rep is and set a call to explore the business in more detail.
Okay, so we're going to go these last slides. Are we done?
So really quick, we'll buzz through these. So if you are just starting to look at us, the due diligence steps that we have, these are all tools that your business development rep can help you with. If you don't recognize any of the items listed here, please shoot an email to your business development rep and have them walk you through these explorations. We've talked about this, but I'll mention it again. We have an unconditional 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. Invest with us. We're the only franchise in the world that puts our money where our mouth is. We let you go all the way through the training. If you decide at the end of training that this is not the right fit for you and your family, we refund 100% of your investment. If you have more questions, like I said, reach out to us through the toll-free number, go to our website, shoot an email to info@absystems.com if you don't know who your rep is, and we'll have somebody reach out. And don't forget to join us next week. We're going to be interviewing a very successful American Business Systems owner, Jesus Monroy. And with that, I will bid you all a farewell. Adam, thanks for joining today. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.